How to pass a HireVue interview. Woo! Okay, cool. So firstly, I want to thank everyone. We passed 500 subscribers, which is absolutely mental. I know it's tiny for every kind of YouTuber, but for me, like, man, I started this like 5 months ago and all my videos are kind of dead in terms of like production and that, but I'm just trying to be as informative as I can and trying to provide some entertainment as well. I'll be real. I've got massive ideas for this channel in terms of where I want it to go. But yeah, like I said, every sort of milestone I hit, so every 1,000 subscriber on here, I'm going to be doing some sort of giveaway. So please keep subscribing, commenting, liking, all that good stuff, and sharing as well with anyone who you think it might just help. But yeah, man, we're just trying to cook here. Down Drop Podcast. We've got loads of guests lined up. It's been a bit delayed though, just because I've realized how hard it is to schedule guests. But yeah, we're gonna get cooking there. But yeah, man, just want to say thank you before I start this video. Right. So firstly, HireVue interviews have become commonplace in the last 10 years, let's say. It's seen as a way that employers can basically do like a quick screen to see how you literally would come across on camera, how the way you speak, the way you present yourself, so they can literally go yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. In terms of like, instead of like you performing really well in tests and stuff, and then you come in person and you're just not it. It's saving their time and your time, essentially. That's what they are. Now, they're essentially digital interviews, just to give, if anyone doesn't know what they are, they're digital interviews. So you'll get a few questions, it'll pop on screen and be like, right, answer this question, and you'll have a couple of minutes to prepare for it. And then say when you're ready to record, click record. You can record, and I think you get like 2 tries to do it, and then it'll just be like, all right, cool, this third one's your last go, this one we're going to submit it. That's the way it's done. And you get a few questions and that. And another thing that people, a lot of these companies, when they do them, it's kind of like you automatically get put into a HireVue. So when you submit your application and everything, you might have to do some verbal reasoning tests, or sort of them aptitude tests in general, maths or logical, situational judgment, and then after that they might just ask you straight away, HireVue test invite, boom, do it. And typically you'll get given maybe a couple of days to do this, so you've got to be prepared for this. I'll be real, like as soon as you've submitted your application, or even before that, you've got to be really prepared for going into this and just absolutely smashing it. So that is why I've made this video, and really hoping that you can smash it. I've done a fair few of these in the past, and I've managed to pass a couple as well. So hopefully my tips will help you really pass those. So my first tip is to look online for questions. Now, people are like, yeah, but why would people put them online? You know, some people are just being nice. Like, I don't have to do what I do. I'm just trying to be nice. Obviously, I'm trying to grow a following as well, so there are vested interest. But a lot of people just want to just put like their experience online and things like that. So I would look at forums, loads of different types of forums. And if you look at loads of types of forums, if the same questions are coming up across them, then you know that that's kind of legit. It's basically just doing like a, you know, like a test of just testing a consensus and essentially go from there. So I would suggest that that's what you do. So you kind of get a gist of what kind of questions are coming up, so you can already start planning for them. And sometimes even just ask your peers if they might have done one recently for that company or something. They might be able to help you out. But yeah, I think it's really important to do this before. You don't want to go in blind to this, because I'll be real, then you're going to be struggling. And on the back of that, the second tip I want to say is, don't write a script. So when I talk about preparing for these interviews, I know some people will literally write a script, dun, 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 and they'll rehearse it until they know it off by heart. However, the way that comes across on video, in front of a camera, just even in an interview, it comes across wooden, it comes across like you have rehearsed it, and it shouldn't be like that. Because when you're talking to clients, for instance, or even internal stakeholders, you're going to be given questions on the fly, and you've got to make it, even though you've prepped for these questions, you've got to make it sound like you are literally, someone's literally just asked you that question now, and you're able to reply to it in real time. And if you can't articulate it that way, you're going to struggle in real life situations. So what I always talk about is, this is what I did some flashcards, And so I wrote the questions that I found online, so in bold on one flashcard. Underneath it, just put like 5 bullets that I need to cover. Done, 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 done. And then you just need to basically rehearse just talking around those bullet points and making sure that everything is super concise. The method that is typically used is a STAR method. If you're not familiar with the STAR method, just have a look online. It's a very common method. It's like situation, task, don't know what the AO is for, and then result, analyze maybe, and result. The way that I adapt the STAR method, which is basically the same as the STAR method, but this is the way that I think of questions in my head, is I essentially I imagine like writing a science report at school. So when I was in school back in the day, if we were in science, we did an experiment, say in chemistry, you'd typically be asked to write a report on that. And the way you do a report is a hypothesis at the top. So what are you trying to get to? So in this thing, it could be, what is a question that's been asked to you? The next thing would be your method that you're going to be using. So what method, what did you do in this situation? So I don't know, this can be applied to any sort of question where it's like, okay, in this situation, give me an example of, I don't know, there's been an arsehole in your group and how did you handle it? What was the end result? So you set out the scene at the top in the hypothesis. Next one's method. You talk about the story, how it went, what happened. Next one is your results. So you talk about, okay, cool, so this is what we ended up doing, and that this was the reaction of said person, or whatever it is. And then at the bottom is your conclusion. How did that all pan out? That's the way I literally think about it in my head, and that is literally akin to the STAR method. I would highly advise you use this for your questions. It's really going to help you just set it out in your brain. And the more you do this, it's like repetition, the more natural it becomes. The next thing I want to say is use experiences. Now, a lot of people will be thinking, oh, like some people who are applying for spring weeks might be like, I don't have any experiences, like not did any work experience, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be work experience. If you can use uni experience if you're already at uni, if you're doing summers or grad jobs. But if you're doing spring weeks and you haven't been to uni, you can literally use things that you've done in sixth form or college, whatever it is, where you've had to work in teams or anything like that. Try to always have a real life example for the questions that you are getting, because the more you can relate it to yourself, the more it looks like you've really thought about this question and you're not thinking of a hypothetical answer. The next thing that a lot of people struggle with, I think, is how they think they come across on camera. I'll be honest, the only way you're going to get better in this sort of sense is if you just practice. So people say practice in front of a mirror. I'll be honest, look, it might work for some people. Personally, it doesn't really work for me. The way that I find it better for me is if I just record myself. So the way I'm literally recording myself now on my phone in front of you guys, just do that. Just record yourself, see how you come across, play it back to yourself and be like, oh, okay, I need to do more of this or less of this or more. And the best way to do it, actually, because you're going to actually see yourself on screen, literally just do it like with the selfie camera. Just do it with the front camera and record it like that, so you're actually watching yourself while you record, because then it will be kind of like the actual what you're going to get in the HireVue interview. Look, it can take time to get used to your voice and your little mannerisms or your body, your actions, and whatever your gestures that you're doing. You're gonna have to just get comfortable with that. But the more comfortable you are, the better, the more confident you will come across in your HireVue interview. So you've got to absolutely nail that. And I think on the back of that, I know this sounds mad to say, but look presentable. Make sure you've had a bath. Make sure you've, I don't know, like your hair's in place, whatever it is, however you do your hair, whatever it is, make sure it's all in place. Make sure you're dressed fairly smartly. If you're a man, wear a tie. If you're a girl, just make sure you are wearing something like business smart. And I think it's really important to do that. And another thing is posture. So a lot of people, like, you don't want to sit like this, like you need to be like sit upright, but you don't want to be like totally uptight like this, because that's unnatural. So just be like, you just need to feel like you are comfortable but confident. I think it's really important to also look straight at the camera, because I've seen some people who like look away and things like that and answer questions like this. No, you need to look, boom, straight at the camera. This is the way to do it. Be confident in yourself remember, you already know the answers. You've rehearsed them before. So now you just have to put that into practice and play. The next thing, which kind of goes on the back of that as well, is your background, right? So make sure your background is not distracting. What I used to do is basically just take my laptop in front of literally just like a white background, just a white wall or something, and just sit there just to ensure that all the focus is on me. I actually used to do it at my parents' dining room table actually when I did it. Yeah, because there's a white background there. So I basically just used to do it there. Make sure that you do have, like I said, nothing distracting in the background, but also that it's quiet. If you've got a family or something, just tell your family and stuff, just shut up for a couple of minutes. You got to do this interview, because the last thing you want is someone shouting and you're on your last go. It's like you start shouting your name, you're like, yo, HB, and you're just like, not that my mum calls me HB, Harry. So you'd be like, Harry, and I'm like, oh shit, and then it's your last go, and then you've got to submit that. You don't want that. So make sure that you've told everyone in your household, yo, shut the fuck up, I got something to do, let me bang this out. And just going actually on the back of that as well, which kind of goes to my first point. So when I mentioned the flashcards, what I typically do, and I literally do it now, so I have my desk against the wall. If you have this, it's ideal for this. What I do with my flashcards, I blue tack them onto the wall behind me. So what that does is, I don't want to be reading off them obviously when I'm doing my thing, because you'll be looking up here. However, before you're doing like when it's counting down or something, if you feel like shit, let me just quickly look at this, it's there. So just for a bit of confidence, like before you go in, so boom, and then you're in. So yeah, and subconsciously, like if you have it on like behind you, subconsciously you're just gonna, if you just look up now and then, it's just gonna go into the back of your mind. So I would highly advise that, to have these flashcards, if you do want to go down that route and do it that way, have them like behind a desk if you can. Another thing is, which can be hard, is try to treat this like a normal interview. I know it's hard because you're literally chatting to the screen and you can see yourself, but they want it to come across natural, like I've mentioned, and you have to just try to put on a facade to an extent. And yeah, like I said, pretend it is a normal interview, and that, you know, everything's calm, you're chatting to someone, like, and they're literally, as they're watching it back, like you're talking to them. That's the way it needs to come across, not that you're talking to a camera. And like I said, this is just going to come through practice, man. So honestly, just do fucking TikToks or whatever it is. Oh no, you don't even have to post them. Literally just make videos on your phone, just like chatting, just see how it comes across. Now, the last thing I want to say is about how people always ask me, so how do these get marked? I never worked in HR, I never worked in recruitment, so I don't know the full answer for this. But what I will say is, generally, because it's, you do your application, then you do your test, then you do your HireVue, I think it's generally taken as a package. So they're kind of marked together if you like pass the certain phases, if that makes sense. So yeah, you need to nail everything essentially. You need to nail your tests and your HireVue, and obviously your application needs to be on point. When that's all done, I think it's all put together and it's all forms part of a bigger application. That's my understanding, well, my idea of it. I might be wrong in that, but that's what I would think. I just want to make sure that you don't just think, oh, I've definitely passed like the test, and that's why I've got into the HireVue. I don't think it works like that, because a lot of the time it's just automated straight through to HireVue. But honestly, like, look, if you're going for these jobs, hopefully that you think you actually have a chance of getting them. So you should be able to low-key smash them out, I'll be completely honest with you. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it for HireVue interviews. Hopefully you guys are smashing it. I did have another video planned, which I just scrapped last minute, because I was like, I know that a lot of people are starting to do HireVue, so let me make this video. Hopefully you find it really helpful, and it's why actually this is coming out late. So apologies, it's going to come out a day late. But yeah, man, if you've got any questions, like I said, please drop them down below. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff. And yeah, man, let's get this to 1,000 subs, man. And yeah, if you fuck with me, you fuck with me. Peace.